Hey, it's your boy Rodney. Welcome to Penn Global News. I'm so ecstatic and happy to have Mr. Keith Dillyhunt here today as our guest. And I think I got that right, Keith, right?
You did. It
So
only took
Keith,
like 5 times of practice, though, but you got it.
I did, man. I practiced and I practiced. I'm so used to having my partner here, Antonio Davis, but Antonio, unfortunately, is catching a flight tonight, Keith, to an event and actually a meeting he had to attend that he couldn't really get out of. He was trying to get out of it so that he can be on with you tonight. But obviously, you guys will talk later, and probably you will catch up at some point because we got to come to Memphis and break bread with you. You know, we got to do it.
Absolutely.
So, Keith, man, it's a pleasure to have you here today, especially on our podcast, Penn Global News, just really trying to enlighten the world about financing, capital, how you get capital, how you don't get capital, why you don't get capital, the whole nine. So, tonight's show is about the truth. And I really mean the absolute truth about lending.
Rodney's laughing, people, because I tend to be a little blunt with things. I've lost the art of tact. So many people around me say I'm blunt with it. So let's cut to the chase on some of these things there.
No, and Keith, that's what this show is all about. I definitely always tip my hat to my partner, Tracy McGrady. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him because Tracy, and we talked about finance, Tracy finance stuff in the beginning to get us here to be building Penn and playbook so that we can continue to help those who really need help to really get to the next level. But finance, as you know, Keith, is everything. And that's what we're here to talk about today. But first, I need to tell the people who Keith Dillyhunt really is, right? So Keith Dillyhunt, the president of Gordon James Financial Solutions, a loan brokerage firm. Keith helps small business owners acquire financing using knowledge he acquired as an SVP and a manager of business banking over his 25 years of commercial lending. That's a long time, Keith. At First Tennessee, AmSouth, and First America. So today, Gordon James Financial Solutions has over 350 lenders. So I'm going to repeat that. They have over 350 lenders from New York to California due to these relationships that Keith has formed over the years. Gordon James can now assist with conventional bank loans, SBA loans, invoice financing, factoring, purchase order financing, equipment loans, building loans, church loans, hotel financing, gas stations, and emergency payroll lending. Gordon James Financial Solutions can assist on loans up to $350 million. So, Keith, without further ado, welcome to the Penn Global News Show.
Thank you so much. You read that quite well, man. It made me sound really good. Sometimes you get so busy in your own practice, you kind of forget that you've been doing a lot of stuff over the past years, man.
Yeah, man, you've been busy, man, and I gotta say this, I'm so blessed to be in a situation to meet somebody like yourself, Keith, through our good friend Rodney Harrington, who I've known for about 20 plus years, and definitely just a sound person. And Keith, you got a whole lot more history with Rodney than I do.
I've known Rodney over 50 years, and I'm not that old, folks.
That's a long time, though, right?
It is.
How many times you get to say? How many times you really get to say that you've known someone over 50 years and a good friend of yours, right?
Absolutely.
That's amazing, man. That's just something that's very admirable because a lot of us don't have friends that long like that for that long period of time.
Rodney and I go back to a YMCA basketball team in like 74, man.
Oh my God. Golly. That's a long time.
My dad was the coach.
Your dad was the coach?
My dad was the coach, and Rodney was our star.
Yeah, but Rodney was a little taller than everybody, right? That time
Rodney was always tall, man.
Rodney about what, 6'4", maybe 6'3", 6'4"?
He might be 6'6".
Is he 6'6"? Okay.
Yeah, he might be 6'6". Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna give Rodney his props though, but he ain't playing no basketball right now. Rodney making money all over the world, right?
That's the goal.
Yeah. So we'll definitely give shout out to his company, Shannon Capital. We just shout out to Shannon Capital. But no, Rodney's a good brother, man, and I'm so blessed that he thought about us, when he introduced Keith, you, myself, and Antonio Davis. So we had a great conversation, and after having a conversation, knowing how serious you are about your business, it was like, hey, right away, Keith, can we have you on our PN Global News show to really tell the truth about lending? Because every business is really out here trying to gain access to capital, and it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. And with us at PN Global News and Playbook Investors Network, we try to provide those tools to help people understand how to gain access to capital and what it really means. And, how do we help you get a yes and coming in and see a Keith as opposed to getting a no? So Keith, those are things that we really want to talk about tonight. So what is the biggest challenge when applying for a business loan? What's the biggest challenge that you see?
Well, it really starts with the owner's vision. If they don't have the ability to communicate it clearly.
Okay. Is that a certain time frame for that communication?
There is a certain time frame. You hear about the elevator speeches.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more than an elevator speech. I always laugh because I tell people I was a commercial lender for 25 years and I never approved a deal where somebody walked in with a PowerPoint trying to tell me what their business was.
Wow.
If you can't sit down and explain your business model to me clearly and concisely, then I don't have any confidence in you. But if you're relying on PowerPoints to go through everything and you haven't thought through, or you can't answer the questions that I have because somebody else did your business plan and you had zero input into it, it's not going to work, man. So you really need to know your business. Number one. I think the other thing is that a lot of business owners don't take into account the competition that's out there. If you have something very unique, then stand on that uniqueness.
Right.
And talk me through it. Make me almost want to be an investor, not just a lender. Make me want to invest my money into it.
So, and they say all the time is, and we heard this from a lot of bankers, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second, but we heard from a lot of bankers that it's all about the story, right? If you tell your story about who you are, or not just who you are, but about your business,
right?
Then you have a better opportunity to obviously try to get some money. So the story, and the misconception of what that story is and how long does that story actually being told to someone like yourself.
Absolutely. I tell you, you should be able to tell that story within 3 minutes.
Wow, 3 minutes, Keith?
Within 3 minutes. I mean, you've heard the elevator speech. The elevator speech is really 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, true.
I'm looking for about 3 minutes for you to tell me what it is that you do, how you do it, how you're better at it than everybody else, and make me want to believe in your product, your services, and your ability. You start droning on, I've lost attention span, man. You start sounding like that teacher from Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah.
But I mean, man, so when someone's walking in a bank, to try to get a loan or a line of credit, and do they ever really get to the banker?
It depends. It really depends. And that's the key question that you're asking there.
Yeah.
Are you taking your request to an order taker? For example, let's look at it like a restaurant almost, right?
Okay, yeah. Let's do
this. Are you taking your request to the waiter, or are you taking your request to the chef? Because there are a lot of people at your local branch that can take your order, but you've wasted your time selling them because they can't do anything about it. All they're going to do is pass it off to somebody else. And now they're responsible for telling your story to somebody else. They don't have that same passion. They don't understand the intricacies of your business. They don't understand the cash flow that's going through your business. So I think it's really important to find out if the person that you're speaking to has the ability to pull the trigger.
Yeah. And
and that's really where I add values, because I only deal with the decision makers.
Right. Because a lot of people, and in your world now, you only deal with the decision makers anyway, right?
That's right.
And that's why it's important, for, Gordon Financial, because if you don't have that type of relationship with a person like yourself, Keith,
Mhm.
you might not ever have a relationship like that to even get to that, to that person who's making decisions like, hey, I like your story. I
Mhm.
believe in your vision and your company and where you're trying to go.
Sure.
Now it comes like, Rodney or Antonio or Tracy, how you going to return me this money?
Right. 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 And so it's I've seen so many people go to that branch and they love that particular branch manager. They've had a
Mhm.
relationship with their branch manager for 15 years, but that branch manager really has no authority on commercial lending.
So how do you mitigate the time that you're not going to be able to get back just trying to get in that door
So are you speaking as the borrower or from my
as a borrower?
perspective?
As the
As the
borrower.
borrower, you need to find out ahead of time. Are you the one that can make the decision? If
Wow.
not, can you point me to the person that will? And
Yeah.
then let me speak with them.
I think that becomes the challenge though, because people who are sitting in seats who's trying to take the order
Hmm.
really want to talk to you and see if they can really help you, because the person who's back there at the shelf is busy. He or
Correct.
she is cooking, doing their thing, right?
Hmm.
So, do you become persistent? Do you just like I'd rather just really talk to, the chef and let him know what I'm trying to do, or let her know what I'm trying to do. So you got to play that card too, right? Because it becomes a
Right.
little challenge, and
Right.
then about the bandwidth,
Correct.
the chef don't have the bandwidth to talk to 100 people to walk in the door saying, hey, I want to talk to you about my business because I'm serious. I need this 500,000. I need this 250, blah,
Right.
blah, blah.
Right. Right. And you also have to know what that branch manager can do. So, if you're going in and asking for $25,000, that branch manager might be the right person to talk to.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
talking about 250,000, probably not.
Mm,
So you have to have an idea as to how difficult is that transaction. So, your local branch managers are going to handle some car loans, some home equity lines of credit, some small credit card deals, a
right.
small car loan, something along those lines. But, just as a rule of thumb, I wouldn't go to a branch manager for anything less than 100,000. I mean, I would only go to a branch manager for anything less than 100,000.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
good to know though, because I know and because of our reach and us touching businesses in, all 50 states, and everybody's trying to gain access to capital. I always said that if you got a business, every business is trying to either gain access to capital or access to contracts. Right. So either way, those are the two things you're really trying to get to so you can continue to scale and grow your business, right? The way you
Mhm.
need to to get your returns back. But so Keith, what are like the types of loans that are actually, lend out? And I know all the ones that you do, and maybe we should just go through the ones that you do so that way, the public understands what Keith does and
Okay.
how he can help you.
So I got my start when the bank I was working for acquired another bank.
Okay.
And then all of the lenders of the bank that we acquired quit. So I was in a 36-month training program and had only done 18 months. And my senior credit officer pulled me out of it and said, "You're ready, go sink or swim." So
Wow.
I got my start really with an existing portfolio, and it was a lot of churches. So
Okay.
I learned how to lend to churches, and that's really one of my passions, are lending to churches, making sure that they get the right structure, making sure that they have the right terms that they need, because there's a lot of bad actors out there, man,
No,
who
it's not
like to take
like
advantage of people.
we say we tell the truth, right?
Absolutely, there's a
There
lot of
are
bad actors.
a lot of bad actors out here in society today, and you getting taken.
Right. Absolutely.
Getting
Absolutely.
taken.
And so from there, I transitioned into a lot of the small business owners. So I would get those requests that were coming from the branches just to kind of start up, because they said, "All
Mhm.
right, Keith, you'll do the loans up to about $200,000. So I got to see a lot of the owner occupied real estate deals, the equipment loans, the term loans, um, the lines of credit requests,
Mhm.
making sure that we underwrite those properly. And then, the thing that I didn't know about
Mhm.
that hurt my heart to this day is that I didn't know anything about factoring.
Yes.
And I would have a client come in, you know, that knew exactly what they were doing. You know, they were a staffing company.
Mm-hmm.
They had just picked up this huge contract,
Yep.
and it was going to change their family's destiny, right?
Absolutely.
But the company was less than 9 months old, and the owner's personal credit didn't necessarily fit within the guidelines that go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at a commercial bank, you have black and white rules. Either it fits or it doesn't.
Right. Okay.
And not too many lenders these days learn how to paint within the gray.
Okay. Got you.
And so that takes real underwriting and creativity to learn how to do that. Today's bankers are really just credit score model. They drop the numbers into a spreadsheet and it's either a yes or a no.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't tell you, yeah, we can get to yes if we were to do A, B, and C. They just tell you a no.
Mm.
So, you know, that's one of the ways where my company adds value, is coming up with the underwriting solutions, because I'm actually working with the banker trying to say, all right, look, it doesn't work the way you're thinking that it's going to work. But if you implement A, B, and C, I think we can make this work. So
well, see, that's what the public's got to have. They got to have those champions, Keith, like yourself. And that's why, you know, your company is so important to, you know, a platform like us or any company out there in the market that's looking to gain access to capital. Right. Because most people are not going to take that extra step to say, hey, let me help you paint something else so that you can go ahead and get this line of credit or loan that you need, you know, to grow your business. Okay. Right.
And had I known about factoring when I was in commercial lending, man, I could have made so many more millionaires. It hurts me. It still bothers me to this day that I couldn't help some people that really had some great contracts, but it just didn't work because they were undercapitalized.
Well, I will say this, being in the game for quite a while with the major corporations and helping companies get in those corporation doors, getting contracts. And when you get those contracts, you really can't sustain those contracts because you don't have enough capital.
Right.
So factoring comes into that play. And I've seen so many companies get on that side of the fence, and it's hard to get out of it. Once you get in it, it's kind of hard to get out, because now I'm asking you to give me money based off my receivables, you know, that I might not get paid for another 90 days, another 120 days. But then when I catch up, I got to pay that note back, and I still got to pay all the other debt back. Right.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that, Rodney, because what I do is I sit down with my clients and I explain to them, how long are we going to do this?
Correct.
Because we have to have a game plan to transition you to a commercial lender.
Amen.
And getting a commercial loan.
Preach, right? Brother. Preach, man.
I mean, because yes, factoring is easy. You can grow extremely fast with factoring, but I always make sure my clients understand you got to build in the factoring cost into your profit margin too. Otherwise, you're doing all this work for nothing.
Yeah. And I'm not, by no means am I sitting here today in this platform speaking about, you know, any business. I mean, because factoring is a solution to a company that needs to get to the next level and sustain you for a while. And like you say, up on talking to you and others that can give them a transition time to get out of it. Then but then it serves its good purpose. It's temporary for you to get in there, get the money you need, take care of your payroll and all the things you got to take care of to get to the next level. So it is,
as long as you have the game plan. That's why that meeting up front is so important.
Yeah,
we talk through that.
Wow, that's really good, man. It's really good to know that there's a company like yours that's out there really trying to help them, get to the next level, because that's the toughest part, And if you don't have anybody like, kind of holding your hand through the process or teaching you how to get off of this, you can really get stuck and it can become a nightmare. And I've seen a lot of companies in the nightmare situation trying to find out, how can I get out of this? So I got to go raise another $2 million just to get out of this factoring situation or MCA loans and blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff. Got it, man. Got it. So on the small business side of things, when, companies are facing when they're trying to apply, like for the loans and stuff, right? So you said this earlier. Some bankers just put you in the mix, put in the spreadsheet, and look at the credit score, right?
Right.
And then what about all the documentation? Do they even try to go through your documentation, your collateral pieces, your financial P&L balance sheets, all that stuff? Or they just like, hey, sorry, Rodney, you don't qualify.
So you have some who will just flat out ask you up front, what's your credit score? And that lets them know how much work to do.
Right.
You know, it's unfair,
Yeah.
but it does happen.
Hey,
Well,
man, truth.
That's the truth. I mean, they stopped listening. Well, my credit score is X. I know I can't do any work with you, man. Thanks for coming by. End of story. But if you're taking the time to explain the story properly to me, I work with you. So you're really trying to get somebody to buy into your vision. That's why it's important to sit down and to express your vision in an articulate fashion and leave some time for that banker to ask the questions that they need to know. Because if you just drone on, you kind of kill yourself at that point. So
let me ask a question, right? And I'll probably ask it for the public because I know that you have a lot of CEOs, especially in the entrepreneurship world, right? This is the entrepreneur society, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs. But every CEO is not equipped, to verbally go in there and talk about his or her business from a financial standpoint. Because if you don't know finance,
he should be.
True, but a lot, and we see this, a lot of CEOs really can't expound on the financial side of things because they don't know finance, though, Key.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they don't know finance, and I'm not, I'm not stepping on any toes or putting anybody down. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of business owners that can't come in and effectively talk about the finance. They know the business. They know the business side. They know how to tell you how to do A, B, C, D, but they just don't know the finance side. So is that a problem if they have a fractional CFO or CFO that comes in and talk about the business? Does that banker still take credit knowing that here's a financial person talking about this man or this woman's business?
As long as you have somebody in that business that can answer my questions about the finances, that's perfectly fine. Okay. So I think a fractional CFO makes a lot of sense for certain businesses because you may know everything there is to know about your particular service, your product, your skill set, and your business, but you don't know how to talk through, what your gross profit margins are, why certain numbers went up, why certain numbers went down. You absolutely have to have somebody on your team that can answer those questions and make it easier for you to get that loan.
Yeah, and I think that's a big challenge, man, because we see a lot of businesses and we try to, do our part as far as helping, giving them the education, by putting them in PN community so they can navigate and see all the things that they probably didn't know anything about. But at the end of the day, you still got to have somebody that can really articulate that story, even to yourself, right? So what are some of the most common things though that, that you see for a roadblock for companies coming in trying to seek money?
So there's a keyword you use that's different. You said seed money.
Or
see, that's more side. I'm on the loan side. Remember,
right. So we won't talk about seed money, but to get a loan or a line of credit. Let's deal with that one.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm really going to focus on, well, there are 5 things I'm going to focus on.
Okay,
and we call those the 5 C's of credit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the 5 C's of credit. Number 1 is your capacity. What's your ability to repay? That's where I'm digging into the numbers.
Yep.
Trying to see where things are going. What are the trends that are going on within your numbers? We're going to talk about your capital, your borrower's investment. What do we talk about? Land, equipment, inventory, those type of things. How much cash have you put into the business?
Yeah.
I expect you to put some cash into it too. We're going to talk about the collateral. What's acceptable? I'll tell you what a bank's traditional loan to value is. So, for example, you pledge in, if you buy an office building, well, a bank is generally going to ask you to put down 20% on that. Okay. Unless we go with an SBA, then it's 10% down.
Correct.
You're also going to talk about what are the conditions right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's the economic environment? What's changing? What do we see on the horizon that could potentially harm your business? And then the last and probably the most important to me is your character. And I'll be frank with you. If I can't get comfortable with your character, I won't even do a CD secured loan with you.
Wow. That's important.
Because I can't trust you.
Right.
Because if I'm recommending you to a bank, my name is on the line also. I'm not on the note, but my reputation is on the line because I'll say, Keith, your guy, I did a loan for him and he was a first payment default. We're not taking any more of your deals. Well, now you've hurt me at that point. So I want to see, will you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it?
Right. Got you.
That's really important to me because that tells me a lot. If you tell me you're going to send me financial statements in 2 days, well, by the third day, I'm calling you saying, hey, where are those numbers? And you say, oh, yeah. I'm going to get to that. And then it's another week. It's another 2 weeks.
Right.
Now I've got a problem with you.
So let's stay there for a second because we know that's a big challenge, right? And in fact, if Keith asked any one of us out here in the public for our financials, we should be able to get you your financials. What your ask is less than what?
So it depends upon what the deal is. At a minimum, you should be able to produce for me your most recent business tax return and all the schedules.
Okay.
Your personal tax return, personal financial statement, and a debt schedule. That's at a minimum. You ought to be able to produce that pretty quickly. Everything else, if we start getting into an accounts receivable aging report or accounts payable aging report, those things are going to take a little time. I get that. But those are the basic things that I need up front.
I'm in a role play, right?
All right.
I'm in a role play a little bit. So when you say that to most businesses, and we're not tagging anybody, but just most businesses that are struggling, trying to get there, right? And you say what you just said right now, the first reaction, shit. Hey man, I ain't got that, dog. I ain't got that. Right. So, oh man, taxes, man. I ain't been in business but a year, man. I ain't filed no taxes yet. Keith. I mean, we ain't made no money yet.
Okay, so if you haven't been in business for a year, you ought to be able to produce an interim financial statement for me.
Okay,
so you ought to be able to
expound, sir.
Okay, so you ought to be able to tell me if you started your business in February and it's now December, I expect you to have at least a balance sheet and an income statement through October.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, does it have to be CPA prepared at that point? No, it can be quick and prepared. It's got to be some form of accounting in that firm that's showing me what you've been doing. So, I laugh with a lot of my clients when they just want me to throw out numbers and give them a quote and tell me how much is it going to cost me and what do I have to put down. I have to tell them, I was like, look, man, it's like being a doctor. I can't prescribe the medicine until I examine the patient.
Right.
Your financial statements allow me to examine the patient.
Right. No, that's fair, man. That's fair. But, I wanted to role play because I know for a fact that's always a challenge for most minority businesses, right? That's been the CEO of the company, been the chief operating officer, the chief financial officer, the chief market. They've been all in one, right? Just trying to grow a business, just don't have it. Just don't have it. And the one thing we're trying to do to help offset some of that stuff is like provide more financial tools for them to plug in their numbers so that, they would have a better, financial modeling when they walk in to see Keith,
right.
That kind of stuff.
That makes a big difference, man. It really does. We need to hit that point hard.
Yep.
You definitely need some, if you can't prepare the numbers. I'll give you a perfect example. What I'm dealing with right now.
Okay.
I have a potential client of mine that just picked up a contract under the Build Back Better Act, where they're going to provide internet in rural communities.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
The contract for them All they're doing, they're cable diggers. That's all they're doing, man.
Yeah, listen, I got some clients in that space. I know.
Yeah, and just it's a huge contract for them.
Yeah.
So they're saying, Keith, we're going to be needing some factoring services. We're probably going to be sending you invoices, minimum $100,000 a week.
Mhm.
We need to get that money fast so we can pay our people, because
Correct.
we know that the client's not going to pay for 60 days.
Is it 60? I thought it was 120.
No, factoring company is going to deal with anybody that goes over 90 days.
I'm glad you sharing that, because I just recently was told that, well, I know it's one particular company, and I don't mind saying their name. Well, no, I better not do that.
No, don't say the name.
Yeah, I can say that. But they're not paying their invoices. They are not paying their invoices for 120 days.
Yeah, that they should have negotiated that better on the front end, and not taking that job. Bottom line, because we're
gonna table that one, because that's
okay. All right.
That's a real big one.
I mean, that's a great point. Because here's another situation here. Let's talk about truth. Got another client of mine that was real excited about a big contract they just landed with Walmart. I mean, they were bouncing off the walls, and I was like, it's not good. They're like, Keith, why is it not good? I said, Walmart doesn't pay anybody for 90 days.
You're right.
90 days. So you are not capitalized enough to handle 90 days.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's a great deal until you start adding up all the costs that you have to carry for that 90 days beforehand. So you've got to be able to pull together your stuff quickly. So, but back to that underground cabling company.
Okay.
They said, Keith, we're going to start this job December 2nd. They called me 2 weeks before Thanksgiving and said, can you get us taken care of? Yeah, if you can provide me with these 5 things. Today is December 4th. I still don't have those things. I've got the lender calling me saying, Keith, you said I needed to jump on this pretty quick. Where are those 5 things? So now I'm looking bad.
Right.
So you got to have all your financial information together, because when you tell me to go, I'm going to go.
Man, I think, and this is really, really good, Keith, because I know the public needs to understand and hear these type of things, right? That's why we always want to be transparent and be truthful about, how do you access to the capital or get loans or lines of credit, this, that, and why. Why don't you get those things? And you're saying the why is because I asked you for these things, these 5 C's, and you haven't produced it yet, right? And that's a problem. So we know that we're in the right space to be educating a lot of people on how to access capital and access contracts, but we had to provide tools. And the tools that we get ready to come out with now on the financial modeling side, it's going to teach you everything. Because you plug in the numbers and it does the work for you. And it's not so much AI, but it does plug in the numbers to let you understand where your P&L and balance sheets and what you got to have to match up with the numbers that you need to see.
That is a fantastic service, man. You got to have somebody on your team that helps you with that particular side of the business, because it's important. That's where you can lose the business if you don't understand it.
No, you're right. You are 100% right. And we've seen it so much, and that's why I'm glad that you expounded on it and really being truthful about it, because, the public, some of us are too afraid to walk into a bank and ask for money, first of all, because we know we don't have part of the 5 C's that you're talking about. We might have 2. We might have 2 of those C's, but we might not have the other 3, that kind of stuff. And even telling the story is not going to get you there, because you still got to see something,
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Now this is good, man. This is good.
Look, for your audience, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but I would much rather educate you on that process. So when you do that again, you're successful. So, and then you have some bankers out there that will give you that slow yes, but never get to a yes.
Yeah.
We used to have a theory: if it's not going to work, put a bullet in it quickly. Put a bullet in it and tell them why you can't do it. And then they know what to fix so that they can go forward and bring it back to life.
Wow, man. I tell you, it's I don't know, man. Every time you speak to someone like yourself, you learn a little bit more and a bit more. But like I said, when people are just being really transparent about it, it's the real deal. It's not like we're trying to stop you from doing. We want you to go do this because they make money, you make money, the bank makes money, and money needs to be recycled in a way that is helping our society, helping our communities, and helping people, in our neighborhoods. So we don't have a huge social impact now because and I'll just say this, most African American companies can't go get money.
I wouldn't say that. I would say we perish from a lack of knowledge.
Education.
We perish from the lack of professionalism.
Yeah.
We perish from the understanding of what the terms are in the deal. Sometimes that deal isn't a good deal for you.
And it's hard to turn away from that deal because you're like, hey, I've been working on this deal for 2 years, Keith.
Right. Sorry. You need to go back to them and spend another 6 months on it.
But man, I'm playing devil's advocate, right?
I know. It's all fun.
If I spend another 6 months, Keith, I'm gonna lose my house, I'm gonna lose my car, I'm gonna lose my dog, I'm gonna lose everything.
Then you need to figure some things out then real quick, fast, in a hurry, and learn how to make some meals with some ramen.
So, man, it's a tough. Would you say it's tough to be an entrepreneur today?
I would say it is tough to be an entrepreneur because there's so much that you have to take into account. And there's a certain beauty in flying under the radar too.
Okay.
I will tell you that some bankers that I used to work with, the first thing they would do when they drove up to a client's office is they wanted to see what the owner was driving.
Okay.
And the owners that flew under the radar screen, that drove that Honda Accord or that pickup truck, not the $300,000 car, guys that they really wanted to do business with.
Yeah.
Because they were going to reinvest that money back into the business and make sure that they do everything. They weren't concerned necessarily with flash and substance. Now, we all want to have nice things.
Yeah.
But you ain't got to show everybody that Bentley, right?
Nah.
You keep that at the house. That's your weekend car.
Yeah, the weekend car. You're right. That's the weekend car, man. But you drive the Honda, boy, every day, Monday through Friday, Saturday.
There it is, 200,000 miles and going.
Listen, I can really say I've done that and still doing that. But it's because I like my cars. I don't need to buy anything new or anything. But but people do size you up when they see certain things and material things. They do size you up a lot. That does speak volume. If somebody's, like I said, you walking in to tell a story, right? But you also showing who you are when you walk in the door.
Exactly. That's the character part of it. See,
yeah, right. I
want that borrower that will eat crackers for dinner to make sure that my loan gets repaid.
Right.
I don't want somebody who'll say, well, if it ain't working, I just throw the keys on the desk and now you can just take it back. No, I want you to work this out because the last thing I want to do is take any type of collateral back.
Yeah.
That's why we work so hard on the front end.
No, that's real. And that's so it's unfortunate that it's that way, but it is, because you guys got a fiduciary, to protect, the bankers and investors' money and the bank's money to get that back. And we have to understand that's part of the game, right?
Well, let me put it to you this way, Rodney.
Okay.
It's a question for you.
Sure.
Out of 100 times, how many times can a commercial lender be wrong in 1 year?
Out of 100 times?
Out of 100 times, how many times can he be wrong?
Out of 100 times, how can a commercial lender be wrong?
How many times out of 100? Give me a number.
I'll say 1.
That's a little higher than that, but it's only 3. You can only mess up on 3 deals out of 100 if you want to keep your job.
See, the reason I said 1 because I know that things are so stringent and tight now, and if you lose that money, it's your butt.
Yeah, but was it properly underwritten? Did you miss something?
If you don't know the underwriting criteria of that bank, right? Because some of them are really, really strict, right?
Right.
And I vetted this out prior to me getting into underwriting because it passed me first. If it passed me and I got into underwriting, I already gave it a go.
That's
So
it.
that's why I said one. You got one opportunity to mess up sometimes, in my opinion. But in your world, you say you got three. So
Well, I'm really speaking from the commercial lender
right.
standpoint.
Okay.
That guy who's making that decision for that bank,
Right. Because you
because
can't keep
he's being
making bad.
judged on his winners. He's really being judged on his losers.
Yeah.
We expect you to make money for the bank, right?
Yeah.
But how much
Absolutely.
did you cost us with your
Absolutely.
mistakes?
Wow. Yeah, man. It's so let's talk about man, this I can talk to you all night about all this. Right? So let's discuss a little bit about like some additional resources that some people may need. I know we talked about some tools that we're providing in PN community. We want everybody to join pncommunity.org or join some platform
Right.
that's going to give you the educational tools to understand how to gain access to Keith, or others, because you're looking at debt capital, and we might need to hit on that a little bit too, Keith.
Sure.
Before we go, because on your side of the fence is more debt capital. It's not so much private equity and VC and family offices, right?
That's all it is debt.
Right. So we might need to just, for the listening public and the viewing audience, is just talk about this vertical. And this is all about debt capital, right? And so if you could just expound on that for the public so they understand what that really is.
Sure. We get involved in the platform there from a lending standpoint, meaning we're going to find a lender for you to supply the need that you have. You're going to put some cash into the deal. We're not going to give you 100% of what you need usually, because we want you to have some skin in the game also. And then you're going to have a loan that has to be paid back over a period of time. That's pretty much all we deal with. The terms are going to vary anywhere from a year up to 25 years, depending upon the structure of the deal. Now, you have the equity partners who can come in. They will give you a lump sum, but then they own a piece of your company. Whereas the lender doesn't have any equity in your company. Once you pay them off, that's it. They have no claims.
So would you say that's probably like the better route for most companies to go, to the debt structure side of things, or is it really the private equity side?
It really depends upon the terms of the debt and the equity.
Yeah.
If the debt is too expensive, or the equity side of it, you can't see your way out of, you really don't want another partner.
Yeah.
You have some decisions to make.
Yeah.
Or you can have an equity partner with some carve outs to say, hey, I only want you in my business for a certain period of time.
No, and we've seen a lot of, being in the game for quite a while. I mean, we've seen some great partnerships, blossom and grow, and we've seen a lot of bad ones too, And when it comes to the equity side of things, it's tough. It's tough to get out of that marriage, when it's really tough and it becomes ugly, but on the debt side of things, it's kind of like you control your own destiny as long as you're meeting your obligation, right?
Correct.
When it comes back to paying the money. So I'm just trying to make sure the distinction.
But you may not be able to grow as fast as you need to sometimes with debt.
Correct. That's true.
So if you're taking off like a rocket, a bank is going to put their hands up and go, you know what? We're comfortable where we are.
Yeah.
And then at that point, then you might want to seek some equity partners.
Wow. So what would you say some most critical points for businesses that are really trying to access capital on the bank side, or even with you?
The most critical point is making sure that you've got those financials together. I will tell you a funny story about business plans. You always hear people talk about business plans.
Every day, all day.
Business plans are not for the banker. They're for the borrower.
Wow.
Bankers do not read them. You can have a business plan that is the greatest business plan ever, and it is 3 inches thick. I ain't reading that shit. I'm serious. I'm not reading it. If you can't sit down and tell me what's in there,
put the microphone. Speak, King.
If you can't sit down and tell me what's in there, man, and answer my questions, because your business plan will prep you for my questions. A great business plan that you've written or you've had somebody work with you to write it, should address all of my questions. But I'm peppering you with questions and you don't know who your competitors are. You don't know what type of the market you're looking to have. What is the market share?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You know, what are the pitfalls?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do you want to put another hot wing restaurant when there's another one 2 doors down?
Because I got lemon pepper, man. It's the hot.
It's lemon pepper wet, dog. We got to do that. Doesn't matter. It's a matter of the competition. It's the economic conditions. You have to be able to address those questions that I'm throwing at you. That's really going to be answered in all of those 5 C's that I have. But I am not reading your thick business plan. No,
you're right, though. And it's so amazing because we've heard most that, you know, bankers are not reading business plans and blah, blah, blah.
Never.
But then you hear from a little like verbs here and there, like, hey, do you have a business plan? And
so understand what's happening at that point.
Yeah.
Sometimes business plans are required specifically for an SBA deal.
Okay.
Now that business plan can be 3 pages. Mm-hmm. It's a business plan. You don't have to give us the unabridged version. Okay. Another time, it may be that branch manager brushing you off. Okay. Saying, yeah, do you have a business plan? No, then come back to me when you do. Instead of just telling them you can't do the deal.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what, Keith? That's so real because we've heard those things before. Mm-hmm. And when I say we, meaning that, you know, the team and working with different clients, and they've had a relationship with their bank, but they asked them for a business plan and they didn't have it. Mm-hmm. You know, and they came back like, hey, I got to help them get a business plan together for, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and what you're saying is like, we hear 100% truth from you, right? And we probably hear 70% from the other side of the fence about business plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
they serve a role. They really do. But it's like I said, it's for the business owner more than anything.
Yeah. Wow, that's real, man.
But then again, let me tell you this other part of it, though, Rodney, is that you can pay a company to do your business plan, but I'll know within 2 minutes whether you know what's in it.
Listen, I love it. And if everything goes according to the way that you're speaking about it, that's the way we think it should go, right? Mm-hmm. But I will say that it's not going that way all the time. And I mean, I know this from other, you know, big box banks and stuff. They're asking for these type of things. But some of the things that I'm running out of time, but some of the questions Keith was asked to us is like, why not DNB versus personal credit?
So DNB is really used for much larger companies.
Okay.
Most banks look at the individual business owner as the business.
Okay. Gotcha.
So how you handle your personal credit lets us have an indication as to how you will handle business credit.
So it is still more like for the personal credit than the business credit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Gotcha. But, you know, DNBs are used, but not as frequently as most people think.
Yeah, and a lot of us are being led to believe that, hey, man, you got it. Why you don't have your DNB number? Why you don't have, you know, DNB, blah, 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 you know, instead of your personal credit. So,
yeah, I would personally, I wouldn't worry about DNB credit until you've hit at least 10 million in revenue.
Damn. Oh, excuse me, y'all. But
once again, just being real.
Just like, being real. I just sit up on that one like, dang, I'm sorry, not there, but dang, man,
really? Yeah.
So until you're about 10 million above, don't even worry about DNB.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a strong one right there now, Keith.
Right.
That's strong. And you know, obviously we're being told by other groups, you know, hey, where's your DNB number? You know, where you Dun Brad number, blah, blah, blah. And then a lot of companies don't even know what DNB really stands for, means, you know. But if you don't have a DNB, you know, your business credit versus your personal credit, man, we might not be able to do anything with you.
Correct. If your personal credit is jacked, So let's address that real quick,
Okay.
because you got a lot of business owners out there thinking that they can just do the deal without a personal guarantee, right? So a
Yeah.
personal guarantee says that if my business does not pay this debt, I will be personally responsible.
For paying it back.
Okay. And they come in and they want to say, well, I don't want to sign any personal guarantees. What makes you think I want to do the loan now? So for you to say that you don't want to sign any personal guarantees, you need to be a whale. I mean, you need to be a Fred Smith of FedEx at that point,
Right.
where, you've got billions of dollars at that point, because every major bank is going to want a personal guarantee. And if you say that you're not going to sign a personal guarantee for your, $200,000 loan, you wasted that banker's time, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But so I say this because, not only, seeing it, but, experiencing it ourselves too, early on, young stage, trying to do everything you can to grow your business. And that you want to personally guarantee it. I'll put my name on anything, but I'll say, hey, Keith, I put my name on anything, I guarantee I'll pay it back. I obviously would pay this back.
Right.
But because your personal credit is not going to be where it needs to be, it's not going to be more about the store. It's still going to be predicated on your personal credit, though, right?
Well, you've got to have a certain score for most banks to even get the loan under the personal credit side.
Right. And I know some banks have dumbed it down a little bit to the 560s and.
Well, there's a sliding scale. The lower your credit score is, the higher the rate, because the bank is being compensated for that risk.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
But the higher rate for the loan, yes. Gotcha.
Yes. So you can get a loan done with a 580 credit score. Just understand that a commercial bank probably won't be the one to do it. It'll be one of your alternative type lenders.
Okay.
And they have their role and their place. There's a time and a place for each one of those guys. And I try not to do a lot of the MCA deals because I'm trying to get into heaven one day. So I tell all of my people, if you're going to do this MCA emergency loan, let's have a game plan for it.
We talked about that early in the show. We did talk about that early in the show. We did. Yeah.
Right. What do you have coming in the next 180 days that's going to be able to pay that off? Do you have a big payment coming? A big receivable? Yes. All right, then let's do that, because you can go ahead and pay those guys off. But if you don't, you're in trouble. I don't want you calling me going, Keith, you put me in this bad deal. You made my family now have to use every night.
Yeah. No, and Keith, we did. We talked about it early in the show because we said it's a good thing for the temporary fix.
Correct.
If you got a good game plan, knowing that you got a lump sum of money coming that can pay it off and get you whole, then you can do this thing right. Absolutely. So it is there for companies who need that real short-term fix, so that they can, continue to payroll, continue to, operate the way they need to scale and grow his or her business. But it's a challenge. All of it's still a challenge. And just trying to get the credit side cleaned up for a lot of businesses is a challenge, right? So
right.
I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges, is just trying to get those companies to the next level, from the credit standpoint.
There's just a lot of bad information out there, man. And I'm glad you have this format where you can help people with that.
We are really trying, man. We're passionate about it. Like I say, I give, kudos to all my team members, Sonia and Dean and so Antonio and Tracy. I mean, I can go on and on and on. There's a lot of people that believed in this early on to say that, hey, how do we create something to affect change, right? And right now, social media is everything.
Sure.
Right. Everything that you do is on your iPhone, your Android, or your iOS pad. And that's why we built PN Community on that platform, so that you can be in the leisure of your home and not be embarrassed and see Keith, 24/7. I mean, people need to see what you're saying and go back and see it again and go back and see it again, just to kind of digest it and get it in your system. Like, I got to get this right, that kind of stuff. So,
and if there's no shame in asking the questions to those who know, because it only makes your company stronger.
Yeah, yeah,
Ask a lot of questions is what I would tell your audience, man.
yeah. But a lot of times, Keith, you got to give people the questions to ask, and when you don't know what
True.
you don't know, you
True.
definitely don't know what to ask for. And I've seen it a thousand times over, and that's why we keep trying to build more and more tools when we hear companies talk, or we, take a company to the investing public, and they say, "Hey, Rodney, Sonya, Dean, AD, we want to give this company this, but they don't have this, this, and this." And the first thing I can say, Keith, about you, I know you so buttoned up, you straight to the point anyway, right? I knew that. I said, "Damn, Rodney, he's supposed to help us get some money." But no, I love it, man, because right away, immediately, you sent documents back about the 5 C's that you need, right? And these are things that I need so I can best know how to help you, right? And that right there is important. I mean, that's important to everybody. And it's not that we all trying to take shortcuts and stuff like that, but when you don't know stuff and you don't know how to really navigate, and you don't have the knowledge of somebody like yourself, Keith, man, it's a hard climb when you don't know it. It's a hard climb. Got a good business.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's where you fit in your model, and I fit in with my model, because what I do is that you and I would, as the borrower, would have a meeting with me, and we'll talk through all of these things, and we'll come up with a potential structure. I'll tell you what I think I might be able to do for you. Then I go out and talk to the banks on your behalf. So it makes a difference when I'm sitting there telling these guys, all right, I've got Rodney over here. His personal credit's going to be like 720. He's got, his business been in business for, X number of years. We're going to buy this building. He's got 20% to put down. Is this a deal that you would be interested in seeing? Now, keep in mind, I have not sent them one thing.
Right.
I've given them the crux of the deal.
Right.
And they go, yeah, I think I would like to see that. Send me the business plan. Well, I know right then you're trying to blow me off. And I go, once again, I use my famous line, you ain't gonna read this shit. And they go, oh, you really were a banker.
Right.
Do you not want this deal or not? Get me in touch with somebody who can do this deal. And then I make the banks fight against each other.
Oh man, this
and then I present the best deal on your behalf.
Boy, I'm gonna tell you, Keith, and this is no lie. I want to keep talking. I want to keep the public engaged so they can see this. But you can also go back and revisit The Truth About Lending with Keith Dilley-Hunt. I want everybody to go back and revisit this on all your social media platforms, pncommunity.org. But also, more importantly, Keith is the president of Gordon James Financial. So
Gordon James Financial Solutions. I named it after both of my grandfathers.
Okay.
People ask that question there.
Yeah. So we want you to visit Keith in the portal, because we're going to plaster Keith everywhere. And we want to get him clients that, that get these 5 C's right, so they can have an opportunity. But Keith, it's a pleasure, man, of having you. I'll be remiss if I don't talk about my sponsor, Burdock Naturals. And here's a sample of Burdock Naturals. Real short story, Keith. I used his product. I had a big old spot on my head where I headbutted somebody playing basketball, right? And the spot didn't go away for like 2 or 3 years. I kept getting injections. But I used this product, Burdock Naturals, man. And I'm telling you, less than maybe 2 months, man, that spot was gone. Oh, so wow. It's a great organic, cream and stuff with Burdock Naturals. So I encourage you to go out, find Burdock Naturals, go out and look at it, buy the product. It's a great product. But Keith, more importantly, man, this has been an honor and a pleasure of having you here today on PN Global News. I'm going to say apologies again for my partner, Antonio Davis, and from my team, T-Mac and Sonya and Dean and all the other team members. We want to thank you for taking the time out, man, and, sharing everything that you've learned over these years to, enhance us and help us get to that next level. So, Keith, thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me. Please
go out and see Keith again, over and over. Join the PN community, www.pncommunity.org. And we will see you guys back here. Oh, it's going to be the holidays, so we won't see you guys until January. And we're going to have a part 2 for you, specifically for you. And we want to get Rodney on at the same time.
Oh, Lord.
So let's do a part 2, Keith, with you and Rodney Harrington for Shannon Capital. Keith, enjoy your holidays, man, and much love to you, brother. And condolences to you, man. I know it's tough, but we're praying for you, all right?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Keith. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right.